Live. Now we're heading into Triple Elixir. Will Triple Elixir save him again? No, both the mortars locked. YORU is already celebrating. Ryley is already shaking his head.
Ability Elixir back. With things like Boss Bandit, it's almost good that they're being punished. So here we go. We're hopping into the game a little bit late, and looks like technically we're still kind of... this is the CRL Warmup, ladies and gentlemen. The Warmup. So, Juice, bottom of your screen, we're seeing a lot more Golden Knight in the current meta, which makes sense because of his buff. Top of your screen, Elixir Pump to start things off.
Elixir Pump is wild. I have seen this deck, or variations of this deck, quite a bit. A lot of time we don't see Elixir Pump in Clash Royale League, though, and that's, I mean, Ryley's showing why you don't as well. I mean, you have Lightning, he's got the Miner ready for the Elixir Pump. Every time he plays that, it's just going to give an opportunity for Ryley to attack at the bridge like he's doing right now.
And looks like we're all kind of caught up. And YORU is someone that you and I were discussing also before the event today. You know, it's always great to see new names. It's one of my favorite things about Clash Royale League. Hey, it wasn't too long ago where guys named Ryley, Mohamed Light, Samuel Basoto, names like that were people that you'd never heard of. So it's really cool to see YORU working his way into the mix. He has gotten #2 on the leaderboard all the way back in December of 2023. He's won a global tournament. That was Sudden Death, which is actually my favorite version of the global tourney. And I love the change to the Golden Knight, Juice. I really enjoy now that his dash is just a little bit more effective, moving farther across the map, moving forward and backward. I actually think it was a really, really great change.
Yeah, Golden Knight's in the mix, Boss Bandit's in the mix, Skeleton King in this mix. I mean, a lot, for the last like 2 or 3 years in CRL, we've seen evolutions kind of push champions out of the meta. Champions are back. I mean, everyone is using different champions, abusing the 3-card cycle, but even their abilities, I mean, they're providing value that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, it's interesting with that 3-card cycle and then like the heavier lightning spell with decks like this at the bottom of your screen. You know, the Golden Knight, not the tankiest of all the champions, but you get him off on the back of the board and you're able to actually create a lot of pressure, get more lightnings out than you might feel, which is why I actually think we're starting to see more Mother Witches. We've seen so much lightning in the meta lately that Mother Witch has actually been pretty dominant, especially against these decks with like Bats and Goblin Gangs, which we're seeing a lot in these Mortar, Lightning, Boss Bandit decks, even though this is Golden Knight.
Triple Elixir just coming on the last second here, Andrew, allowing Ryley to defend. That push was looking scary. Golden Knight the bridge here, plus the Law going to clean up the Mother Witch. Other Golden Knight cleaning up the gang. Arrows drop down the Evil Bats, and the Mortar is not the right play. And the Mother Witch prediction on the Bats. Ryley's struggling to defend here.
Yeah, really, really great plays by YORU. Got nothing there to slow down the battle ram. Does get a log off in time. 777 to 1159. 29 seconds remaining. Ryley up against the back wall here. And again, that Mother Witch right up at the bridge, really making it, not getting a lot of damage is YORU, but Ryley does get a mortar shot. That's huge, Juicy. Now within lightning range to take the lead.
Yeah, and the Evil Mortar is on the board. There's 13 seconds left on the clock. The Mortar is just applying a lot of pressure, and the Lightning does drop down, like you said. YORU does not have a big spell. He has to do something, but he can't. It's over.
You know, it's really interesting. It feels like there was a bit of that experience now that Ryley has. So you guys can see in the bottom right-hand side, popped off in 2024, grabbing 2nd place at World Finals. That's on the live stage. That's in front of everyone in the world. And, you know, Ryley was really, really impressive. He was a huge question mark going into the World Finals last year. And it felt like they're at the...
Great question. I think another big reason why Lightning is really in the meta right now is because of the Poison Tower damage nerf. The Rocket Tower damage nerf that happened fairly recently. And I think that Lightning's just a really good card that does a lot of damage to towers. And it also has a huge radius, so it has a decent amount of versatility compared to the Rocket.
Juicy, I know you were devastated when Rocket got nerfed.
Yeah, it was a dark day. No, Andrew knows that Rocket is one of my, if not my least favorite card in Clash Royale. Speaking of more balance changes, I do think that we could use just like a overall tower damage nerf for maybe spells across the board. I don't know. I think it's just good to always see the pros try to break through with troops and with skill rather than focusing on defense mainly.
So here we go. Breaking through right now is YORU, bringing that Tower of Riley's all the way down to 1075 in a very similar look here. Monk is also showing up a lot more. A lot of reasons, you know, I mean, you guys can do the math on why Monk would be everywhere, talking about the meta that we're in, especially paired with Royal Giant. You can see how effective it was there. And yeah, like you said at the top of the show, Juicy, RG is also everywhere. And hey, I mean, this is your job, so I'm just going to keep asking you questions. Why now RG? What is the moment now? It does seem like it's kind of found its perfect meta once again. Seems to be really, really hard to stop. Seems to be always breaking through. A lot of options through double and triple elixir. What's the reason for this moment in Clash Royale?
So there's a couple reasons. I think number one, a lot of the buildings have gotten nerfed over time. We saw an Evo Tesla nerf. We saw just a regular Tesla nerf. We've now seen the Evo Cannon and the regular Cannon get a nerf recently. Bomb Tower and Inferno Tower don't really provide that much value. Really, buildings, you know, they're not great. And Royal Giant excels in a meta like that. I think another big reason is, I think like 2 or so years ago, when they started adding evolutions, I predicted that Monk would become more and more valuable. The more units, the more evolutions they add that are ranged, the more Monk has potential to deflect Evo units. So, and I do think Royal Giant is the card that synergizes best with Monk.
That is a great breakdown. That is an absolutely great breakdown. Love to hear that. 318 remaining on that bottom right-hand tower. Ryley was able to break through. This is the second time now on that top left-hand side. He's going to get another Evo shot in. Doesn't get the third. 1035, 318. Most likely a fireball in Yoru's last slot there. And no, it's a lightning instead. I was thinking it might be lightning because we hadn't seen it. Comes out, takes the tower, and we are all even, 1-1. Now that experience might go out the window. YORU with a little bit of momentum behind him.
Yeah, I like what YORU did there. He knew that Ryley used lightning in the first game, and he's immediately, okay, I'm using Evo Witch, the lightning.
And Riley's experience came in. Game number 2, YORU just kind of steamrolled him the whole time. So here we go. Game number 3, Ryley starting with a snowball. Snowball can mean balloon. Snowball can mean drill. Drill maybe now that we're seeing Fire Spirit. Evo Snowball plus drill. Really, really great combination. It cycles really quickly, and you can clear everything off the board with that Evo Snowball. So we'll see how YORU wants to prepare, which looks like he might be going to the skies, Juice.
Yeah, Skelly Drags in bats. That's interesting. Maybe like a Lumberloon, maybe Lava, maybe even a Mortar deck. And Ryley, great call. He is using a Goblin Drill Evo Snowball here. I think it's a great combo, especially since he's used the log already. Evo Snowball does a great job of providing a lot of value with the drill, because a lot of time you can push the defensive units backwards to the back of the tower and allow your Goblin guaranteed damage lock on tower.
Big shout out to our production team and Stats Royale here. Love seeing all the graphics on screen. And it's just nice to be able to talk about what we've already seen being played instead of having to, you know, do what we usually do, hopping back and forth between screens and trying to figure it out there. Obviously, champions out in every single game so far from Ryley. And top of your screen, Juicy, is there a champion in this deck? Is there maybe AQ in that last spot or something? Maybe just a spell, huh? Yeah,
probably going to be a spell. So YORU not going to be able to compete when it comes to the cycle here. Ryley cycles really quickly, especially with the 3-card cycle from the Mighty Miner. And it looks like Riley's second Evo is going to be the Cannon Evo here. I think Riley's got a great matchup for himself.
Yeah.
Yes, YORU does have the Valk for the drill, but once again, Ryley has the Evo Snowball and cycle. If he tries the Valkyrie, he's going to drop the Snowball on it and push it to the bottom.
And there we go. Exactly what you're talking about. Snowball comes in. YORU ready with the barb barrels. So, you know, you kind of have to do that this early on in the game. I mean, you have to do it all throughout the game to track those cycles. Those skeleton dragons from YORU, as you can see, cycling them both on the same side of the map. Those are going to be a bit of an X factor here for YORU. It'd be annoying for Ryley to take care of. Wow. Rocket comes out just on the Evo Mortar, misses the skeleton dragons, but I guess the Mortar was really more of the threatening play. And a pretty decent cleanup there from Ryley. I'd say medium. Juicy, rate that defense?
Yeah, I would give it a 5 out of 10. I mean, he does take out the Evo Mortar, which is definitely the main threat, like you said, but there's a lot of damage coming through. Ryley still has a lot of work to do if he's going to come back and win this. And YORU is continuing the pressure. He's got the Miner, he's got the Mortar, he's got the Poison. Ryley needs to hit a pre-Evo snowball on one of these Valkyries in order to make it so that these goblins can hit. Just because that Barbarian Barrel is always going to come through if the drill gets low enough on HP.
Yeah, and then obviously Ryley doesn't have much of an option to kind of wait this game out and try to rocket cycle. Minor Poison always frustrating to go up against in that sense. And again, these Skeleton Dragons being a bit of a nuisance here for Ryley. They're taking a lot of elixir from him, taking a lot of attention from him. That snowball is always going to want to be used on offense, and then on defense, you know, taking care of those Skeleton Dragons. It's really like an Evo Cannon or a Fire Spirit plus, you know, just kind of sacrificing your guards. So curious to see how Ryley's going to continue to evolve. There we go, Fire Spirit and sacrificing of the guards. Has to snowball on defense left-hand side. Evo Mortar not on the tower yet, but might. There it is.
Wait, it's going to lock on the bomber
It's on
first?
the bomber.
But now it's on the tower. I think the Mighty Miner was out of range. No way. The Mighty Miner's able to distract. Ryley's
Skeleton
just
Dragons are going to get pushed back. One
barely
Skeleton Dragon
on.
connects. No, wow. Ryley playing some crazy defense right now, Juice.
He's staying alive. Now we're heading into Triple Elixir. Will Triple Elixir save him again? No, both the mortars locked. YORU is already celebrating. Ryley is already shaking his head. He knows it's over. Double mortar with the poison. And YORU with a massive upset, taking down our CRL World Finals runner-up from last year.
I want to see what it's going to be. And here we go. We're in the match. Clown, unfortunately, I don't know where he is now. Traveling throughout the world, but he's not on camera, unfortunately. I think you guys, at least luckily, were able to see him in his first match of the day, and now you recognize it's not because he doesn't want to be on camera, it's because he is in a car.
Interesting. I can't believe that Sosa is playing immediately after just losing. Or sorry, not Sosa, a Clown. Well,
yeah, we had we had the numbers backwards on the board there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, but luckily for me, I'm not playing. So
yeah. Okay, so
here we go. Our first bait of the day, Juicy, and it's from, you know, arguably the best bait player in the world. So that's at least exciting.
Yep, log baits, high pressure. He does have the cannon, and I don't think this deck does have a big spell.
No,
so
usually not.
It'll be interesting to see if he's able to break through with that spam. Clown gonna need some really good defense to make this work.
Yeah, these decks can be really, really frustrating to play against. Just relentless pressure. And while defensively you might feel that it doesn't stack up, that Dart Goblin is everywhere. And the cycle on this deck, even without a champion, is relentless. So, and you're going to see one of the best players to ever do it with this deck run it. So exciting to see here, especially because, you know, bait was one of the other archetypes we mentioned at the top of the show that we have not seen yet.
Hog inbound, cannon back in cycle. Prince is going to help support as well. I'm assuming Clown's last card is an Earthquake. We'll see if he ever will use that on the offense. Gang going to try and keep the Princess alive. A boss man ability, try and get his Princess Tower involved in the defense as well. Evo Valk played on offense. Usually you rather see that play on defense, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think it worked out well because now the Boss Bandit is providing even more pressure, taking out almost the entire Gob Gang while the Hog gets a hit. And there you go. Clown going to be taking the damage lead to start this match off. Solid defense here. Once again, though, Ryley does need to find a way to break through. And looks like Clown is even ready for the Princess of the Bridge. Lost it down it as well. I think this is a wild version of Hog Earthquake. I think I kind of like it. I mean, he doesn't have the Firecracker, which is a little weird. But the Evo Witch seems to be able to provide a decent amount of value in this matchup. Mainly just because Ryley doesn't have the big spell. There you go. Witch going to drop on defense right here. Log onto the Goblin Barrel. And he's using his skeletons to try and keep the Evo Witch alive for as long as possible. But I really like the Princess from Ryley. You know, Ryley knows how to play the Princess. He knows how to keep it alive. Playing it very low on his side of the map or really high from our perspective. Makes the Log can't take that out. And Evo Barrel, you know, mitigated quite well. He needs to play something on the right side, though. He has to drop a cannon. Boss Bandit costing a lot of elixir here. This might be Ryley's turn to maybe make something happen. Here comes the Dark Gob. It doesn't lock on. Witch is tanking. Goblin Barrel inbound. Log Gonna get some nice damage, but here comes the Evil Valve plus Wallbreaker to the right-hand side. Skelly gonna try and kite back. Can drop it down, but the double Wallbreaker connection. We'll still have 13 seconds until triple elixir, and Clown desperately needs that right now. Princess does not lock onto tower. Log comes through, but now what about for the barrel? He has skeletons and a cannon, but the Gombro's getting damage, and Riley's very happy with his damage lead. Clown has only 60 seconds of triple elixir to somehow, someway, make a comeback here. With the boss man, with the Evil Witch, maybe, just maybe it's possible. But look, Ryley is already setting up his Valkyrie, trying to get the Evo in cycle, and then applying pressure when the log is not ready to rumble. Wow, and the goblins are doing so much damage. Clown trying to make an offensive push and take some damage to deal some damage, but it ain't working.
Log out to catch that princess. Earthquake in. Try to break through. Hog will get a hit. Does. And Witch on tower, but...
Wait a second. Oh, but the Evil Falcon cycle.
Yeah. Oh, the freeze.
Wait, the Hog? 15 seconds left, but the Hog doesn't get the second hit. And there's another barrel.
Yep. And that's going to do it. No log and cycle. There's the log late. Gets the front two. Hog goes in. And Ryley able to do it against... I'll say a medium matchup, right? Just having the one log to deal with stuff, not having swarm units to cover the barrels in any other way. Maybe not the best situation for Clown to be in, but still, well played there by Ryley.
Interesting stuff. We are hopping to game 2. Ryley versus Clown. Ryley talking away here, trying to figure out, or probably just discussing, maybe even with his coach, about the strategy here. Looks like Clown does have the Bowler. Bowler is going to be a really good card to deal with the Gob Drill in this situation.
Bowler plus Snowball plus Giant, so looking like GY, huh?
Yep. Giant Graveyard and the
What do you think
Miner.
about Giant Graveyard? It was pretty popular for a minute there, maybe like what, a few weeks ago, or maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, but seems pretty quiet now. Viability thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely viable, but it is one of those decks where it's very matchup dependent, and I don't know. I don't mind it from Clown. I think that he's gonna have to make something happen here, and if you gotta let luck be the deciding factor of whether you get a good matchup or not bad. The bad thing for him might be that I'm not in love with this matchup for him, mainly because the Mighty Miner, great counter to the Giant. The only way to counter it would be the Evo Snowball whenever it's in cycle, and the other problem is that Ryley's Evo Snowball can be used to knock back his push to allow his tower to lock on to the Graveyard Skeletons.
Yeah, that's the point I was waiting for you to get to, is we've seen that a lot over the years of body blocking at the bridge,
right,
where the Evo Snowball has changed that conversation by allowing your opponent to actually get across the bridge and then get it all soaked up in that snowball, and then it makes that graveyard not only easier to clean up, but it also almost makes it wasted elixir for your opponent, and then you deal with the push. Everything's out of sorts. We always talk about timing and sequencing with graveyard decks, and that is a great way to kind of deal with it. So we'll see how that plays as this game goes on. Arrows to catch the Bomber plus Fire Spirit. Goblin does get a stab on the tower. Night Witch has been out of position this entire game, so we'll see when Clown can actually get that Night Witch behind a Giant, but as of right now she's been having to use to clean up drills and soak up Fire Spirits.
Evo Snowball on offense here is going to allow the Goblins to connect, but Clown has kind of been waiting for this moment. Now he's going to go with the Graveyard, and he's going to drop his Evo Snowball on top of the Mighty Miner to allow his Giant to tank for a little bit longer. But it seems like Ryley's ready for this. He has the poison for the Graveyard.
Wow.
Maybe Clown can stack him enough units to make this work.
This is a pretty scary push. The bomb does some decent work, but that is a very, very healthy bowler behind. It is on tower. It does not activate King Tower. Ryley misses the spot there. Guards behind getting tanked for. Arrows to come in to help clean it up. While this isn't going to be game over, this is a great offensive send for Clown. 15-52 against 22-26. Ryley right back on offense. Drill goes into the left-hand side.
Bowler is here. It does pick up the Goblin hit. Ryley with the energy drink mid-game, trying to
I was just gonna say,
get a little extra, oomph to finish out this match.
And honestly still one of my favorite evolutions in the game, even though I
Yeah.
don't use her a lot. The idea behind it is pretty brilliant, and when you see a great player use it to snipe those units off the middle of the board, really, really impactful as well. So Evo Muskie getting her laurels right now as that Evo Snowball comes in. Bowler up high to clean up, as you talked about throughout this entire matchup, Juicy. Now we get a Miner to switch lanes. Guards right behind. Nightwitch going to do a pretty good job with the Snowball there, so nice defense here from Clown. 1760 to 1498. Bomber comes out to meet the Giant plus Nightwitch at the bridge.
Fire Spirit cleans up pretty well, and the Graveyard is down. Poison on the Graveyard, guards in the Giant. Nightwitch bats are a little bit of a threat, but Ryley doing a great job of hiding them away to give the tower time to lock on and take them out.
That's right. No bat hits in 1162. Fire Spirit almost sneaks through to tower. 1680 to 1162. Mighty Miner cycled in the back for Ryley towards his weaker tower as another drill comes down. And a pre-poison. That's a great pre-poison. Ryley recognizes that the Nightwitch is out of play. The Giant's down the left-hand side. No Graveyard's going to come in. Doesn't have to worry about the Graveyard poison, so he just uses it offensively, and now he should be back to it defensively if he needs it.
Free Evo Snowball hits the Nightwitch, allowing the Goblin to lock on the tower. Musketeer to try and prevent. Giant is the threat left-hand side, ignoring the Tesla. Mighty Miner dropping. There's only 10 seconds left. Evo Snowball
that Giant
clears the way for the Giant to get even more damage. And with 5 seconds left, Ryley's shaking his head because he knows his tower's dropping. Clown taking game number 2.
And that's just Ryley kind of losing track of the game. He gets distracted. I mean, this is a great play here by Clown. You got a Bowler have to kind of maybe give him the edge, but excuse me, not give him the edge, but make it so it wasn't just a horrible matchup.
Yeah, great stuff, great stuff. And here we are hopping into our I believe this is our 3rd game despite the graphic on the right hand side, and we got Ryley with the Hog Earthquake, or maybe Roll Hog's Earthquake. Clown using the drill this time.
A lot more E-Spirit being used right now, Juicy. Is that just because of kind of how popular Witch is and Bats?
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it on the head there. I think that it makes a lot of sense to use Electro Spirit more often, especially if you aren't going to be using the Evo Ice Spirit. All the time, the E-Spirit can also pair well with the Log and even Barbarian Barrel to take stuff out like Firecracker. You know, even help out more versus like Musketeers and other glass cannons.
So the first time we're seeing, oh my gosh, what is her name?
Berserker.
The Berserker.
Yeah.
I was like, where it's escaped me. I actually really liked the idea of the Berserker when she came into the game, and I think that she's still trying to figure out her place in Clash Royale, but definitely a really, really fun, high DPS card that I would love to see used just a little bit more, but I think she's still, like I said, there's still something that needs to be tweaked there. I don't know what it is. But just good job against the Evo Skellies and the E-Spirit, and gets on towers, so you know what? Maybe I spoke too soon. Great stuff there from the Berserker.
Yeah, even Ryley is a little bit confused how these Evo Skeletons cannot clutch up the 1v1 versus her. You know, Clown up a lot of damage here, but Ryley is up a lot of elixir here, so I'm able to make a counter push for sure. There it is. Big hits, big 2 hog hits here. And now Ryley converting that elixir advantage to a damage lead.
So Clown, Ryley both resetting back to 10. Hog's going to come in right now. There's the Tesla up high to not give any EQ value. Plays the Berserker on top of it just to keep the Evo Tesla alive a little bit longer. I don't hate that play, but there we go. I was going to say you have to do something to protect it now, and now that Boss Bandit is just pulling out so much elixir.
Yep. Berserker does a decent job, though.
Yeah.
And even takes to the Hog. But the big annoying thing here, as you guys have probably already realized watching, I mean, this Firecracker has been staying alive for a long time. That's another reason why Log is so much more consistent as a card compared to the Barbarian Barrel. It has a lot further range. Barbarrel has a hard time dealing with these Firecrackers when they're deep onto Ryley's side of the map.
Probably getting a nice King Tower activation there with the Evo Bomber. E-Spirit to soak up that first Boss Bandit dash. Now we see that Tesla coming out late. Exactly kind of what you had talked about before. Use the drill first to get the Tesla down second. Doesn't really matter, though, as Ryley still gets a hit on through to tower. Berserker's been doing a really good job doing a lot of defensive cleanup here, but now we're getting into spot that's just not quite enough. Now we're getting outcycled, has to let the hog get on through because he can't play anything to get shot by that firecracker. 903, 2265, Ryley pulling away.
Yeah, it's just so difficult to defend. The boss bandit, the hog rider, especially without the log. The earthquake drops from the Tesla. Berserker comes down, but it's not enough to stop this hog hit. And then the firecracker immediately. This is what I'm talking about, what I mean.
Yeah.
Where sometimes the firecracker does more damage than a hog rider in these hog EQ decks, because a lot of the time the firecracker just is so difficult to stop compared to the hog.
Yeah, definitely. And you see it so many times where you do get outcycled against the hog deck, and you're like, okay, as we saw Clown there in that moment do, he's like, okay, I have to figure out a different way to defend against this hog because I don't have my Tesla in cycle, but I can't play anything on top of the hog because the firecracker is going to be right behind it. So Ryley playing a tried and true deck with